So yes, people, listen. I've got my phone with me this time because I was actually going to do a video today. But I was on XG I was on XG Extra, if you want to be pedantic, with Stephen Alson, and I literally seen someone put in a chat saying Laurie has said Jim Ratcliffe has basically pledged the full season to Amorim, and I was like, what? I don't believe that. No chance. So then literally as soon as I come off air, I went to look for myself, and the quote is as follows. It wasn't an article, by the way, from Laurie. It was on Talk of the Devils, and the quote goes like this. Just so you know that I ain't lying, because it sounded insane to pledge such certainty like a whole season when you see how United are performing right now. But this is the actual quote. From speaking to people, even if Manchester United lost to Sunderland, I do not think it would be the end for Rúben Amorim. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is the one who will decide, and I'm told he wants to give Amorim the full season. And many of you may know, you don't get much more ITK in the know than Laurie Whitwell when it comes to Manchester United stuff. You could argue maybe he's been used as a mouthpiece. The information he's getting, is it club PR prompted? Not necessarily him, but in terms of they want to give that positive feel-good factor and kind of keep the real truths of what they believe in-house. But when Laurie does say something about what the environment and vibe is inside Manchester United, he does know his stuff, trust me. So I'm inclined to believe it. And we spoke about this at length anyway, where it's quite clear that INEOS don't want to bite the bullet early or too fast. I don't think it would be, but I don't think they want to bite the bullet because it's the first big decision they've made. It's their first big appointment, and they're obviously very desperate for it to go well. But I'm seeing conflicting reports because Ben Jacobs, on the other hand, I don't think is quite as reliable as Laurie, but he does have sources, has said he thinks that Rúben Amorim doesn't have that many games left. And it seemed like he was on a collision course to a sacking. And now I'm getting the conflicting report that Laurie has heard from inside the club. So he might not even have been fed information. It's just he's in and around and he's been told things. And to be fair, you can probably get more truths that way. And it does seem that, like many fans, INEOS do see it where they have, especially Jim, who's a fan of the club, has seen the cycle and the carousel of managers over the past 10 years, and he's telling himself, I want to give a manager a little bit longer. So they appoint Amorim first, and they're thinking it at least needs a full season with his own squad, after his own recruitment and his own backing. And they've almost given that blank canvas approach to basically his horrendous form in terms of win and losses. You've all seen the stats and the metrics that got highlighted on Monday Night Football. And I think they've seen it as a little bit of a clean slate. And they've definitely gone into the season. I think they've gone into the season and said to Amorim, you're definitely getting the whole season. We want to see a whole season. You've had a pre-season now. You've had some investment. You've got a whole season. But they didn't expect it to go so sour and so bad so fast. So they're not prepared. So everything now you hear is contingencies, and it does feel like the vibe where INEOS are only going to pull the plug when they feel like they absolutely have no choice or they have to. But I'm quite astounded by that statement. When I put my thinking hat a little bit on it, and I don't think so emotionally, I can see why he would have thought that initially. But to see what you've seen now in cohorts with what you've seen for a majority of last season, to then go, even if you lose to Sunderland, after losing to Brentford and having some of the poor results we've already had, it doesn't matter. You're getting the season anyway. It does bring into question standards and expectations. And I think they're non-negotiables when it comes to Manchester United. I guess you can be a little bit, as you'd say it, we're not Premier League title challengers anymore. But I think bottom half of the table form for the course of a whole 38-game season, be one of the worst teams in the league, I think the standard expectations are at least a little bit higher than that. Don't you think that? For me, it's not like I'm giving up on the gaffer. I have. But I think Amorim's given up on himself. And if you're a leader of men and you're the manager, you need to have a presence and belief about yourself. And I think I've seen that dwindle away. That whole confidence and charisma and aura that he had to begin with, that's gone. So I've already said I don't feel like there's no way. I don't feel like there is a way back. But that comment in the Talk of Devils podcast from Laurie's had me thinking, I think we might have underestimated how far INEOS are willing to push it to make sure that they give their initial first guy as much leeway as possible. But I think there comes a point. Because for me, I know how football works. Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS could think that now, even if they lost to Sunderland. But then if we come back from the international break, get battered by Liverpool and lose to Brighton, then the notion may change. Because football is a very short-term type of game in the way it's viewed. It's fickle. It's weekly. Opinions change all the time. And so do narratives. You know what they say, like a month, 2 months, it's a long time in football. United beat Chelsea, seemingly good result. Turn up to Brentford, you lose, Chelsea's forgotten about. And some people have used that against me, saying you're just focusing on the negatives. But to be fair, how many games have we actually won in the league? There's more negatives to choose from than positives. So I won't even allow myself to get given that whole half glass empty type of image, because the truth's staring you in the face. But having that free hit mentality that it seems that Ratcliffe's trying to give Amorim, in terms of even if he loses to Sunderland, I'm not bothered. I think that's the most damning statement of the quote. It's not that they want to give him the full season. It's that even if he loses to Sunderland, listen to where United have gotten to. Sunderland are a team that have just been promoted from the Championship. We're playing them at home at Old Trafford. And the notion is from up above, if United lose that game, it's all right for the manager. Try and make sense of that. Call me a spoilt brat. Call me a cynic. But that's the part of the quote that burns me the most, even beyond whether Amorim should stay or go. But the notion that there isn't consequences if United lose to Brentford and then lose to Sunderland at home, and it just doesn't matter, no extra pressure on the gaffer, you're getting a free season anyway, that's questionable. And that rings alarm bells for me. And interestingly enough, Sunderland is very much a losable game. They've been solid this season. But anything less than 3 points is still a disappointment. And that's the standards I'll uphold anyway. Because INEOS are meant to be best in class. So they should expect a little bit more than they have. Especially when I heard Barada come in and say, we expected to challenge for the title in 2 years. Seems like the tone's changing. Our goalposts being shifted. We're meant to be challenging for Europe, aren't we? Everything just seems like a mess right now. And I think the quicker this gets dealt with, the better. Feels like we're just waiting. We're on the fence. We're just on the periphery of an eventual, basically, finale of United looking for a new manager again, where the first part of the season has basically been wasted away. And then the rest of the season, we have very little to salvage. And before you know it, football goes fast. 2-3 years, you've just wasted them. Because when does trial and error just become error and that's it? Listen, couple of days, Sunderland, and if we don't get a result there, it's going to be the most stressful because the weeks are long enough now without midweek football, but that is going to be the most stressful international break you can imagine. I hate international break anyway, but that, I'm nervous now. I'm going to be on a watch along. Joe, Tom Cooney, Finn. I'm just hoping it don't ruin my weekend. Because that Laurie quote has had me thinking some things. But let me know what you think of the quotes. What do you think? I'll leave you with it. What do you think about Laurie saying the feeling inside the club is, even if we lose to Sunderland, Amorim's job is still bulletproof, because Jim Ratcliffe intends to give him the rest of the season? I've got to hear from you. Let me know what you think.